We are at the Rumson Commotion, finishing up, and Mr. Jackson is going to tell us the story of the Rumson horse. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. You got to realize that this is the Sunday morning, afternoon after the commotion, so there's been 3 days of debauchery, drinking, all kinds of ugly activities. So I'm not at my best, I admit. And if I miss any important details, Dick Smith will be very happy to do a redux, dead horse story number 2, right? Goes back to I was living in Rumson then, I left there in 1980, 81. It was about the 3rd year of the Rumson hash. In the first 2-3 years of the Rumson hash, there was never a hash that did the nonsense and the crazy stuff that we did. That's how we got our reputation. We're getting old now. We don't do any of that shit. People still remember the old stuff. But we were out hashing. It was the middle of winter, freezing cold. I mean, in the 20s, February, I think. And we're out hashing in the middle of nowhere. And we come upon this dead horse. And obviously, if you want to get rid of a dead horse, it's very expensive. So someone put this thing on a truck, drove it out in the middle, and dropped it and hoped no one would know it. But we noticed it. We're kind of hanging around it. We do the hash, we come back, and I'm up in the shower. My kids are there. Well, my one daughter was driving. My mother-in-law is there. My wife's there. My little kid's there. And I hear, "What's that in the driveway?" And the kids are, my mother-in-law's looking out the window, and I look at that out there, and I say, "Oh, shit." The same goddamn horse that we had seen 15 miles from there on the hash. These guys had gone back, got a truck, tied ropes to its legs, pulled it up on the goddamn truck, and then after I came home, while I was showering, they just dumped this thing on the driveway, legs up in the air like this, okay? And I'm looking, I said, I'm fucked. Wait, what am I going to do? My wife is one of the coolest people in the world. That freaked her out. Plus, my mother-in-law is looking and saying, she has no idea, what the hell's going on. She's deaf, legally deaf. So she had no idea what's going on. My daughter is, at that time she was about 10 years old or something, saying, "What is that?" So I realized, so I start calling the guys in the hash. I said, "Oh, good, it's funny and shit." Everyone denies any knowledge of anything about a dead horse. Absolutely nothing, okay? So I'm starting to panic. My wife's panicking. The family's panicking. My daughter, who just drive home, pulls up in front of the house to park, and there's the horse in the driveway. She can't park, and the neighbors are beginning to notice. So I did an embarrassing thing. I actually called the police, I mean, I don't know if it was a good move or not, but I called, and Rumson's a little town. They have their own police department. I'm very protective of their residents. And I said, "Officer," I said, "there's a dead horse in my driveway." And they were cool. We come right down there. The sergeant came, the thing, about 3 of them. One of the patrolmen's he's looking at this horse, and he's saying, "I think it came down from there." Fucking horse was frozen like an ice cube. Its eye sockets were empty. And this asshole actually thought that this horse had perished on my driveway. But obviously it wasn't. So they said, "No problem. Now this is a Saturday. We'll call the public, our people. They'll come and take the horse. Thank you, Mr. Jackson." Well, about a half hour later, the cop comes back and says, No, I'm sorry. They came with the big truck and the thing, and the guy looks at me and says, "We have no way to get rid of a dead horse. And you're on your own." So now I'm really panicked. They leave, and finally one of the guys called me back. He said, "I know you're in trouble and stuff." He said, "We'll come over, give you a hand." So they come over. It's starting to snow now. It's dark, and the horse is like this, and it's filling up with snow, and there are about 12 of us, and there was, and we had a couple of bottles of whiskey, and we're singing songs around the dead horse. And then finally we decide, okay, we got to get rid of it. So one of the guys, actually I have a wooded lot, he cut down some of these saplings, laid them on the truck, tied ropes around the horse, and we pull them up. Now it's dark now, and the horse's legs are sticking up to the top of the truck, but there's nobody around because it was really starting to snow heavy. It was like 7 o'clock or so. So we decided we're going to bring it right back to the place where we found it. That way, you know, no harm. Well, the snow was going so hard that we actually we didn't know where we were. And finally, we're in the middle of nowhere, and we said, we got to get rid of this goddamn thing. Guy backs the truck up. We tie the ropes to a tree, and drive away. Right? So I think that's the end of it, you know. A traumatic thing for my family, but it's done. But it wasn't. On Tuesday or Wednesday, I get a call at work. Have you seen the Red Bank Register? No. There's a story in there that they'd found this horse, and there was implications of satanic animal cruelty shit. I think the Coke bottle up its ass was one of the things that one of the guys, I don't know why they did that, I find that offensive, but they did it anyway. And so I said, you know, and I had a reasonably important job. Getting arrested for animal cruelty or sadistic acts on horses would have really damaged my career, to say the least. I get on the phone, I call my lawyer, I tell him, you know, what's happened? He's laughing like hell. And he said, you know, when the cops get you, when they call and stuff, just give me a call, don't say anything. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, nothing. And I'm thinking to myself, it's in the paper. The Rumson cops were there. I'm there. I mean, they either knew or, you know, I don't know. But I was absolutely convinced that I was going to get arrested. So come Saturday to hash time, Keith Kanega, he and I are co-founders of Rumson Hash, he picks me up. And we drive to the Little Silver train station. And as we're pulling in, all the Rumson Hashes are there, and they're yelling. The cop's there, there's a cop there, cop car, uniform, and they're all yelling, there he is, officer, there he is. So I know they're shitting with me, right? So I pull up, and a cop comes, and he's actually got a clipboard and a warrant. And he's saying, you're good with Jackson, and all that crap. And he said, I've been told I have to take you to the state police barracks in Colts Neck, which is where the horse was. Now I know they're fucking with me. So I go over, and I jump in the front seat of the car. And I know the guy's in uniform. He's got a car. He's going to say, I can't do this. He closes the door, and off we go. And each mile that we're going, I'm getting less and less confident that they really, And then finally, at some point, he just started laughing like hell and turned around, and we came back, and all the guys were in the parking lot. Now I found the statute of limitations, like for rape and murder, I think is 8 years. For killing horses and torturing them, there's no statute of limitations. They could come and get me tomorrow, and I think if they see this thing, you know, I hope they don't do that. But that's the dead horse story. I've told it many times. If there's a little bullshit in it, not much. That's a real thing. I thank Dick Smith for putting this, and I never have to do it again. The story's been told. On.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jackson.